Hey writers, Patrick Nyland here. Today I thought I'd do a fun little video where I rank my works in progress based on how likely they are to be my first ever published book. Honestly, I thought this would be a great idea to do now because a lot of you guys are always asking what I'm working on currently and what I plan to work on in the future. So I thought this would be a great way to talk about what I've worked on and what I expect to complete moving forward. Realistically, right now I don't have a timeline to publish any of these, but I'm hoping that maybe I can start publishing maybe one or two of these in 2024, so we'll see what happens, but don't get your hopes up. First, we have Operation Arc, and this is one of the only titles on this list that does not have a solid name at all. Which is not a great sign for me, since me putting it number 1 on this list means I think it's the most likely book for me to publish first. But, other than the name, a lot of things seem to be going very well with Operation Arc. As you may already know from the video I originally covered it on, Operation Arc is a series of short stories about humans trying to survive the apocalypse in space stations. The fun thing about Operation Arc is each of these stories takes place on a different space station, and on a lot of these space stations there's a genetic test going on, which really messes with the characters. And the good news is while the title is still completely in limbo, I'm making a lot of progress when it comes to those short stories. Moving on, number 2 on this list is Talia's Ghost. Now for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you might remember the name Talia's Ghost. And that's because I attempted to write it last year for National Novel Writing Month. And as usual, I failed, but I got a lot done. And honestly, if I try it again, I'm attempting to write Talia's Ghost again in November, and considering I just won the challenge to write a book in a week, I feel like I'm going to complete this book. Talia's Ghost is about a high school reject that spends most of his time playing VR. In his world, there are ports implanted to people's heads so that they can plug themselves directly into a computer to play VR. And the whole story kicks off when a character named Talia, who's believed to be dead, reactivates her profile. At number 3, we have the exo-tron, Death of a Hero. Those of you who've been following me on Instagram for a long time know this was originally meant to be my first ever book. And don't worry, this book is closer to being published than it ever has been before. In fact, at this point, I'm on draft number 3 for the project. The exo-tron is the story of Joshua Hunter, a character who becomes a superhero despite being paralyzed from the waist down. His powers are his superior intellect and his robotic suit that he engineered himself. And Death of a Hero is this character's origin story. And out of all the characters I've ever created, I don't think I've spent more time on any character other than Joshua Hunter. However, as you'll eventually see, Joshua Hunter is a complicated character to write, and the sci-fi action scenes required to create his suits and the villains he faces are kind of complicated to write, which makes me hesitant to put it out first. Also, since I have so many sequels planned, I want to make sure I'm completely ready before I put this book out, because I don't want to ruin the stories that come later on. Because right now, when it comes to all my ideas surrounding the exo-tron series, I think the origin story is the worst one. And because of that, I put it aside until I have more time to focus on it, because I don't want to ruin the books that come ahead. Speaking of the books ahead, at number 4 I have Kalana and the Heart of Gold. Now, I've only put one exo-tron book on this list because it would be kind of stupid if I had exo-tron 1, exo-tron 2, exo-tron 3, blah 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 blah. However, Kalana's character is a completely different superhero on her own. Her story is about her quest to undo her curse and reclaim her soul. It takes place in a vast fantasy universe that is grounded by its magic system. Like the exo-tron, it's also near completion. In fact, it may be closer to completion than the exo-tron. However, in the universe they take place in, the exo-tron story comes first, and as a result, I can't write that story until the first one is complete. At number 5, we have My Ex-Girlfriend May Be a Zombie. As a freshman in college, I went through a brutal breakup halfway through the second semester. The next week, we were sent home due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The resulting project was My Ex-Girlfriend May Be a Zombie. This story is a satire about college, COVID, zombies, and everything in between. The only reason why it's not higher on this list is at this point I'm considering making it a video game instead. And the reason I'm making it a video game is that way I can include different endings. Also, if you are my ex-girlfriend, don't worry, it's not really about you. At least not anymore. At number 6, we have Barn Burner. Barn Burner is one of my favorite projects just because it's about hockey. The basic plot is a prospect expected to go number 1 in the draft has a career-altering injury, and the result is his life basically implodes. And the story basically follows him as he descends into the world of sports betting and drugs. As you can see by my smile, I'm gonna have fun with that one. At number 7, we have a familiar title, Europa. As you guys know, Europa is the book I wrote in 1 week to complete my Write a Book in a Week challenge. And the reason it's at number 7 is my love for this project has kind of fell flat. Don't get me wrong, I love Europa and I'm going to rewrite it. However, right now, as I look back at what I wrote the first time, it just feels incomplete. Compared to my other projects, a lot of the characters in Europa seem like strangers to me. And I feel like the way I told it the first time just did not do the story justice. The ending was rushed, my descriptions were lackluster, I just feel like I could do a better job. And I will, eventually. But because of that word eventually, this book is at number 7. At number 8, we have Oxfall Valley. Without giving too much away, the center of Oxfall Valley is the question of whether or not robots deserve human rights. And regardless of how you feel right now, the events of the story will really make you ponder that question. The reason Oxfall Valley is at number 8 is I know nothing about the legal system, and the legal system is a big part of this story. Also, like my ex-girlfriend May Be a Zombie, I'm considering making a video game instead, which also kind of puts it on hold. That being said, it's almost definitely not going to be the first book I publish, but it deserved a spot on the list. At number 9, we have Soul. S-O-L, like the sun. This is the story of what would happen if our sun started the process of becoming a red giant a lot earlier than it's supposed to. Don't worry, in real life we have like 1 billion years. But in this book, that calculation was incredibly wrong. Right now, at this point, Soul is mostly just a concept. I've only written about 10,000 words, and I don't even know where to start or what characters I should even feature. The only reason Soul is even on this list, considering how early it is into development, is the fact that I might make it a novella. And as a result of its shorter length, it has a slim chance of being published first. Finally, at number 10, we have Defar, the Black Star. Just thinking of Defar puts a smile on my face. Defar was my first ever book idea. In fact, I've been brainstorming it since I was 6. It originates from a game that me and my sister used to play when we were kids called Froggo Age. I know, it's a terrible name, that's why I changed it. The reason why it's number 10 on this list and why I'm 100% sure it is not going to be my first book is because putting the world of Defar on paper is daunting. There is so much world building that's going to go into this universe, and I have to get it right. I owe it to my younger self. There are Dyson spheres, wormholes, black holes, time loops, and most importantly, an ancient religion surrounding infinity that gives the users immense power. I know the characters of this series so well that it's almost as if they're childhood friends. And as a result, I'm waiting to write it until I can finally do them justice. And that's my list of 10 projects in order of how likely I am to publish them first. If you were betting on this, I would say the safest bet would be Operation Arc, despite the fact the name is still in progress. Talia's Ghost definitely has a 1 in 4 shot, with the exo-tron being a dark horse. The real question is, will I put out my first polished video game before I put out my first published book? But for now, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments which of these projects you're most excited about. And if you haven't already, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, good luck with your works in progress.